I rented out my spare room to a man who never slept. I used to think loneliness was the scariest part of living alone. That was before I rented out my spare room. It started like any other desperate decision. I was behind on rent, the kind of broke where even grocery receipts feel like threats. My apartment had a second bedroom I didn't use, storage mostly. So I cleaned it up, posted an ad online, and crossed my fingers. His name was Evan, late 20s, quiet, polite. Said he worked night shifts at a distribution center, paid the deposit in cash, and moved in 2 days later with just a backpack and a duffel bag. No red flags. Not at first. Week 1. He was oddly quiet. Didn't bring in furniture, didn't ask for Wi-Fi, barely used the kitchen. I only saw him once or twice a day, usually coming back around 6 a.m., always fully dressed in black. I assumed he worked the graveyard shift like he said. One time I made a joke like, "Man, you ever sleep?" He gave me this slow look and said, "Not really, not anymore." I laughed awkwardly. He didn't. Week 2. That's when I realized something weird. He never turned his light off. I'd pass his door late at night on the way to the bathroom, and the glow under his door was always there. No sound, no movement, just light. I started to wonder if he actually left the apartment at all. One night, around 3 a.m., I walked past his door again. This time, I noticed a shadow. He was standing just behind the door, perfectly still. I set up a camera. I know how it sounds, but something was off. It wasn't just the light, or the silence, or the way I never heard him open or close the door. It was the feeling I got, like I was being watched in my own home. So I placed a small motion-activated camera in the hallway. It only recorded clips when someone passed by. I checked it the next morning. 40 clips, all between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. In each one, Evan walks up and down the hallway, never making noise, never looking at the camera, just pacing. Sometimes he'd stop and face my bedroom door for several minutes, then keep walking. I tried to confront him. That night, I stayed up, left my bedroom door open, waited until 2:30 a.m. Sure enough, I heard soft steps outside. I stepped into the hallway. He was standing there, facing my door. His eyes were wide open, like he'd been staring through the wood. He didn't flinch when I spoke. "Dude, are you okay?" He blinked once, slowly, then said, "I don't sleep. I just listen." Then he turned and walked back into his room. Door shut. I called the police. I had enough. That was the last straw. But when the officers came, Evan was calm, polite. Told them I was just nervous living with a stranger. They searched his room, found nothing illegal, no weapons, no drugs, not even a mattress, just a chair and a notebook. Dozens of pages, all filled with my name, my full name, written over and over in neat block letters. The cops said it was odd, but not criminal. Said to give them a call if anything escalated. It escalated. Tried to kick him out the next day. Told him I'd refund his rent, no hard feelings. He didn't respond. Just closed the door. That night, I locked my bedroom door, moved a chair in front of it. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to a tap, then another. Soft, rhythmic knocks. Tap, 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 coming from inside my closet. I held my breath, grabbed my phone. No signal. I whispered, "Evan?" The tapping stopped. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. When I checked the closet the next morning, nothing was there, but the inside wall had scratches, long ones, as if fingernails had been dragged across the drywall. The notebook. While Evan was out one morning, I snuck into his room. I couldn't help myself. I had to know more. There were now 3 notebooks, all filled with entries like this. He breathes 7 times in his sleep, then turns left. He dreams about drowning. He lied when he told his mother he was okay. How could he know any of that? One page was just a list of questions. Why does he lock the bathroom door when he's alone? What does he hide in his laptop folder named tax stuff? Does he remember the dog from the park? I slammed the book shut. When I turned around, Evan was standing in the doorway. He escaped. I didn't speak. He didn't either. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. Then he said, "You shouldn't have read those." I shoved past him and ran. I didn't even take my keys, just grabbed my wallet and sprinted to my car. I drove straight to my friend Jeremy's place and stayed the night. When I returned the next day with a friend to help me grab my stuff, Evan was gone. Room completely empty. Notebooks gone. Chair gone. The only thing left was a single piece of paper on the floor. It said, "Now you're the one who listens." That was 3 months ago. I moved to a new place, changed my number, got a better lock. I found a hidden camera in my Airbnb. The police didn't help, so I investigated myself. I travel a lot for work, mostly short-term consulting jobs. That means I'm practically a pro at booking Airbnbs. Quiet neighborhoods, no shared spaces, good reviews. That's my checklist. This one checked all the boxes. It was a small house near Portland. Cozy, clean, professionally managed. I arrived around 6 p.m., unpacked, ordered food, and took a long shower. And that's when I saw it. A tiny blinking red light. It was inside the air vent, just above the bathroom mirror. The camera. At first, I told myself it was probably part of the HVAC system. But curiosity got the better of me. I stood on the edge of the sink, used my phone flashlight, and looked in. There was definitely a small lens tucked behind the slats. It was aimed directly at the shower. My stomach dropped. I took photos, grabbed my bag, and walked straight out. Sat in my car, with the doors locked. I called Airbnb support. They said they'd look into it and offered to refund the stay. That's it. Then I called the police. No help. 2 officers showed up an hour later. I showed them the camera. One of them crouched, looked inside the vent, and just shook his head. No recording device now, he said. Could have been a reflection. I offered to show the photos, but the other officer waved it off. Without the device, there's not much we can do, he said. Probably just some old wiring. They left. I didn't sleep that night. I booked a hotel across town, but I couldn't stop thinking about that camera. Who was watching? How long had they been doing this? And how many people had stayed there before me? I started digging. Back at the hotel, I searched the host's name. James B., profile photo of a golden retriever, joined 2018. Over 200 reviews, almost all 5 stars. But something stuck out. A few blank reviews, just asterisks or single periods. Like someone had written something and then deleted it. I reached out to one of them, didn't expect a reply. An hour later, I got this message. Did you see the vent too? I wasn't sure I imagined it. We compared notes. I spoke with the woman. Her name was Erica. She had stayed in the same Airbnb 2 months earlier and saw a camera in the bedroom vent. She'd also called the police. Same result. Nothing was found. No evidence. Case closed. But she had done one more thing I hadn't thought of. She had checked the Wi-Fi router logs. Every device connected to a home network leaves a trace. And she'd seen an unfamiliar one labeled Nest 23 Private. That's a common name for smart security cameras. I decided to go back. The second visit. It felt stupid and risky, but I couldn't let it go. I rebooked the same house using a fake account. Checked in 2 days later. Brought gloves, a flashlight, and a hidden camera detector I bought off Amazon. The detector lit up instantly near the same bathroom vent, and again in the bedroom. But this time, I came prepared. I removed the vent cover with a screwdriver. Tucked behind the slats, a tiny Wi-Fi enabled camera, battery powered. I took photos, grabbed it, and left. What I found on the camera. I didn't touch it for hours, just kept staring at the lens sitting on the hotel desk. Eventually, curiosity won. I plugged it into a charging pack and connected to its local network. It had motion detection logs and video files, hours of footage, mostly mundane. People brushing their teeth, changing, showering, all of it date stamped. All of it auto-uploaded to a cloud account listed as James_hidden123 at outlook.com. There were dozens of folders, labeled with dates and names. Each one was a different guest. I sent it all to the police. This time, I included screenshots, videos, metadata, even a list of Wi-Fi logs I pulled from the router with a terminal command. The officer on the phone went quiet for a few seconds, then said, "Okay, we'll send a detective. Don't go back there." I didn't. Instead, I sent everything to 3 local news stations just in case. The detective finally called me the next morning. Said I had uncovered one of the largest voyeurism cases they'd seen in the state. Apparently, the owner wasn't even James B. The real homeowner had rented the house to a property manager years ago. That manager was a man named Thomas Wexler, 39, who operated over 12 properties under fake Airbnb profiles. The arrest. They found hidden cameras in 8 different homes. Bedroom vents, bathroom lights, even behind smoke detectors. Thomas had been streaming the videos live to private forums. Some viewers paid monthly fees, others shared them on encrypted servers. Hundreds of hours of footage, over 60 victims. He was arrested and charged with illegal surveillance, digital distribution of explicit material, wire fraud, and identity theft. Airbnb shut down all related listings. Their public statement was full of the usual damage control nonsense, but it didn't end there. The final twist. 1 week later, I received a package at my apartment. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. I plugged it in, half expecting malware, but it was just a single video file. I hit play. The footage showed my hotel room, the one I stayed in after I left the Airbnb. It showed me, sitting at the desk, inspecting the very same camera I had taken. Which means someone else was watching me. Not Thomas. He was already in custody by then. So who recorded this? I picked up a hitchhiker who already knew my name. This happened last October, on a back road between El Paso and Tucson. I was driving alone, heading to visit my sister for her kid's birthday. The sun had just dipped below the mountains when I saw the guy. He was standing at the edge of the road, thumb out, backpack slung over one shoulder. Late 20s, maybe early 30s. Wore a windbreaker and hiking boots. No weird vibe, just tired. I know. Never pick up hitchhikers. But the nearest town was still 40 miles out, and it was getting cold fast. So I pulled over. "Where you headed?" I asked. He leaned in slightly and said, "Wherever you're going, Ethan." I froze. He'd said my name. I didn't tell him my name. "Sorry," I said, forcing a laugh. "Do we know each other?" He smiled faintly. "You can say that." I should have driven away right then. But something about his tone, calm, even warm, made me hesitate. Maybe he recognized me from college or work. I unlocked the door. He climbed in, tossed his bag between his feet, and buckled up like we were old friends. The first red flag. We drove in silence for about 15 minutes. I glanced at him a few times. He wasn't doing anything weird, just staring out the window, hands folded. Then he said, "You always leave your front door unlocked." I blinked. "What?" "Your apartment, in Austin. You usually lock it at night, but not always. Sometimes, when you're distracted, you forget." He didn't say it like a threat, more like an observation. My chest tightened. "How do you know where I live?" He turned to me, smiling gently. I listen. He started naming things. Not facts you could find online, private things. He said the name of my ex-girlfriend, the one I dated in college, but never talked about. He mentioned the exact time my dad had his heart attack. He knew I had a tooth that still hurt when I drank cold water. Then he said something that made my blood go cold. "You always check under your car before getting in, but you never look at your back seat." He was right. I did that every morning. A little habit I picked up after a true crime podcast. He chuckled softly. "Maybe start checking the back seat too." I pulled over. I hit the brakes hard and pulled onto the shoulder. "This is where you get out," I said, my voice shaking. He didn't move. Instead, he said, "It's not smart to stop here. There's no cell service, and it's a long walk either way." I reached for my phone. No signal. Of course. I unbuckled and got out anyway, walked around, and opened his door. "Out!" I snapped. "Now!" He stepped out calmly, like he wasn't surprised. As I got back into the car, he leaned in and said one last thing. "She's still alive, you know?" I stared at him. "Who?" But he was already walking into the desert. I drove off. I didn't stop again until I reached the next gas station, about 30 miles away. There, with service, I called the cops. Reported a man on the road acting strange. They said they'd send a cruiser, asked for a description, which I gave, but they never found him. No one had seen him walk into town. No one matched the description at any local shelters or hospitals. The search. When I got back home 2 days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I searched her name, Emily Carter. She was my high school best friend. Disappeared senior year. Presumed dead. Her case had gone cold. He'd been referring to her. I was sure of it. I started digging. Found forums, subreddits, old newspaper scans. And there it was. A recent post on a true crime message board. I saw a woman near the Pecos River, matching Emily Carter's description. She looked disoriented, barefoot. When I tried to talk to her, she ran. Posted just a week earlier. The final visit. I returned to the exact stretch of road where I picked him up. Waited there all afternoon, until the sun went down. Around 9 p.m., I saw him again. Standing in the same place. Same clothes, same backpack. He didn't wave this time, just stared at me as I pulled over. I got out, heart pounding. "I want to know more," I said. "About Emily. About you." He smiled again, that same distant, sad expression. Then he said, "I know things, because people forget to notice what they bury." He handed me something, a folded map with a spot marked in red, and started walking away. I yelled after him, but he didn't respond. What I found. The spot on the map was 2 hours away, near an abandoned farmhouse. I found a rusted-out well and a collapsed shed. Inside the shed, half buried in dust and debris, was a journal. Emily's handwriting. Her name on the inside cover. Most of it was faded, water-damaged, but I could make out a few entries. Still alive. I think they left for good. Someone came by. A man. He didn't speak, just left food and walked away. If anyone finds this, please tell my parents I didn't run away. I turned everything over to the authorities. The case was reopened. They found her. 2 weeks later, a woman matching Emily's age and description was found in a rural health clinic. Severely dehydrated, disoriented, but alive. It was her. She'd been missing for 12 years. No one could explain how she survived, or why she never came home. And when I asked her if she remembered a man, the one with the backpack, the quiet voice, she froze. Then whispered, "He used to watch the house. I thought he was a dream." So, who was he? I still don't know. The map he gave me had no fingerprints. His face never showed up on any traffic cams. No one else reported seeing him. And when I returned to that stretch of road one last time, he wasn't there.